Hey guys, welcome to Momageddon, the show where my best friend and I talk about our attempt to navigate life as moms, neurodivergent disasters, and generally exhausted human beings just trying to keep our shit together.
So, why this podcast? Well, we realize that there are so many of us out here moms, caregivers, disabled folks, neurodivergent people who are just out here trying to make it. And no one really gives us a handbook for how to survive when society wasn't exactly built for us in mind. So, we figured, why not talk about it? Why not share our stories, our struggles, our wins, our absolute disasters? Why not make it a fucking party?
This is a safe space where we can be real, we can be messy, and most importantly, know that we're not alone in all of this. So grab a drink, find a comfy spot, and get ready to laugh or cry, and maybe even learn some weirdly fascinating facts along the way.
All right, let's fucking do this.
So I'm Jess, and a little bit about me. I have four kids, all of who are somewhere in the neurodivergent world somehow. Um, I am neurodivergent myself. I am also a disabled mother with some pretty crappy rare genetic things going. Um, I'm in the process of working to get disabilities for SSDI. I'm also married to somebody in the military, so life can get even more chaotic than what you would hope it would be. So yeah, that's kind of that's me.
I'm Z. I'm 29. I'm also neurodivergent. Um, Basically a cryptid at this point. I'm always sleep deprived and an autistic mom of two children. I've survived 5 years in social work, which means like my fight or flight response is stuck on vibrate at all times. I am currently clawing my way through going to school. So that's super exciting because I hate having free time. I am obsessed with car psychology, collecting cursed knowledge, and I am super excited to share all of my interesting facts and quirks with the world.
I do love your fruit facts. They do make my days so much better and brighter.
I was so um shocked that watermelon used to be spiral. That is so crazy.
And this is just one of the weird random facts that you will get from Z, and they are full of them, so you will never get tired of it.
Yeah, I guess that just comes from the constant like hyperfixations and knowledge of
Yeah.
of my brain. I guess I kind of start off about us is how we met.
Yeah. It was it was a weird place to meet and bond at because it was at a funeral.
Yes.
Um and my husband and I had only been married a couple years and we were living in a totally different state. But somehow we had pregnancies that synced up. So our boys um, are pretty close in age. They're like, what, a month or two apart?
Yeah, they're 1 month apart. Olivinder's birthday is in September,
Oh, okay. And Indy's July. So,
so 2 months.
um, yeah. And when I first met Z, they had the whitest of white foundation on and just this like entire goth queen look. And I remember asking my husband, I'm like, who is that? And he was like, oh, that's, my cousin's wife. And I was like, I need to be friends with her. Like, I need them in my life. And then the boys just kind of hit it off and we started hanging out more.
Yeah. You guys moved closer and we were able to like bring the boys together, which I think kind of brought us closer together.
Yeah.
And then what really drove it home was us ending up getting pregnant again together the second time, not
Yeah.
planned at all, obviously, because I'm sure you weren't planning on having your 4th
No,
child.
she was our surprise, like,
Yeah,
I was good at 3 with just the 3 boys because she's the only girl. I was perfectly content with with
yeah.
3, but, vodka and some cookies, later. Surprise.
And Raven was, not planned. So that was a complete crazy, I mean, wonderful accident.
Yeah.
And our daughters are actually just a few weeks apart,
Yeah.
which I think is the craziest thing about
Yeah. Because 'cause they're even closer.
it. Um, and not just that too, but to like bring it all in of being able to have our kids grow up together, being able to like be a support system together too, while also like navigating, because both of our children, we each like my kids are autistic and have ADHD. You have kids who are on the spectrum as well. I think that that just created this community where we could, get together and talk about whatever we needed to or wanted to or vent about, because it's difficult. People don't
It
talk about
is.
how
Oh,
difficult
yeah.
it can be. And such a like judge-free, fun zone where everybody's safe to be themselves. And I don't have to worry about, my kids not feeling like they can't be themselves.
Right.
Um, so there's that. And then as we continue to raise our children and like your husband would get deployed, I feel like that, me like coming and staying more, I got to the point where like I was at your house like every weekend.
Yeah. And
And
sometimes even during the week too.
oh yeah, anytime I could, I would be there. Um, and I just was so thankful to be able to have that community. And do genuinely think like it brought us so close together as like parents, but
Yeah.
also as just like-minded individuals. We have similar political views. We have similar like ideas on parenting, stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's really hard to find. And even like religious standpoints and like all of the important things that people have and hold near and dear, we are so incredibly alike. But then where our differences are, I think I think it almost helps bring us together even more because, you know, I was always I would have confrontations with friends in the past or, people that I can call a friend. Um, and then because of that confrontation, like we were no longer friends. And it wasn't even the way that I approached it or anything like that. So I think when Z and I had our official first confrontation, or disagreement that we were both passionate about, um, I was like completely freaking out. I was crying and I was like, I'm going to lose them. And like, you know, we're not going to have the same relationship. And I remember you telling me, like, well, if that's how your previous friendships ended, then they weren't your friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, shit, we're dropping truth bombs over here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality of the situation too. If you're going to, for me, when I'm, just say forging a friendship, I mean, that's like, in my hopes, like a lifelong thing, right? I hope,
Right.
when
That's
I'm,
the goal.
yeah, right. And part of that, like, if we're the same and we agree constantly, that's gonna be so fucking boring.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so fucking boring. I don't want us to have the same, beliefs and ideas and sh- I want there to be some differences and people. And same with like partners, friends, regardless, like you should be able to sit down and disagree with somebody to an extent.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to sit down and be like, "I don't like minorities," that
Right.
would have ended our friendship.
Right. That would have been a problem.
But to an extent, we can disagree on, your favorite milk type, oat for
Right.
um, and I feel like that's just when you become so disposable to someone where you can have a disagreement and somebody just says, "All right, I'm out." That was never a friendship.
Right. And I think when you're a neurodivergent, like it makes it so much harder. Um, and especially because for me, like our family and our household, we're atheists. And no, we don't eat babies. No, we're not Satanists, worshiping the devil, which Satanists don't actually do that. Um, you know, it gets really hard to connect with people because as soon as they find out, you tend to get a lot of like that backlash and that push, and ultimately the relationship ends because, you know, they couldn't respect our beliefs or lack thereof. Um so it was really nice when, like, it was awesome when like I kind of brought it up to Z and they're like, "Oh, cool, like same Z's," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and being able to have a space where also my kids can talk about these things because I raise my children, which may be controversial. I raise my children to think for themselves. And
Clutch my pearls.
I know how crazy. And we educate our children and, we give them knowledge instead of forcing belief systems on them here.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, maybe not their grandparents, but me, their mom. And so it is nice to have that connection so that
Right.
they are free to say, maybe I don't believe in God, or if they have a question that they've already asked me, but they want a different perspective, they can go and ask you.
Right.
So,
And the comfort level, like, we have, like, just as a funny, like, I think is hysterical. And one of the things that I love the most about our relationship was how I initially found out and started looking into having my now 8-year old tested for autism and being evaluated. Um, we were just sitting there, and I was like, sometimes I wonder if he might be on the spectrum. And your response was, "Oh, yeah, he's autistic as fuck."
yeah,
And I just sat there and I was like, "But no." And you're like, "His airplanes are literally lined up in a row." And I
yeah,
was like, "Well, yeah, but the military aircraft, like when they line them up, it's called an elephant walk." And you're like, "And what about this?" And I'm like, just watching him more after you saying that, I was like, "Well, holy shit." And yeah, so like filling out the paperwork, like for the evaluation, I was just like, "Oh my God. Like, how do you not see this?" So yeah, that's definitely one thing that I love about our relationship is like you felt comfortable enough that you could say that and me not be one of those parents who's like, "I can't talk to you anymore. There's nothing wrong with my child." And just to clarify, there's still nothing wrong with my child. He is perfect
um,
and amazing.
amen.
Uh, yeah, and I got that though. Like I got like so when I started talking to people and sharing the fact that he was autistic, I was met with a lot of that, either, "Well, he doesn't look autistic. And if
Hmm.
he's autistic, he's barely autistic." And I'm like, that's not how that works. Like, but yeah, so anyway, back to us. Like, that's just one of the things that I love. Like, you have no problem and no worries that you can just like drop a fucking truth bomb like that. And I'm just like, "Well, fuck."
That could also be the neurodivergency in me as well.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they don't look autistic, or they don't seem like they are that autistic, is such an interesting perspective to me. It makes me just want to look at my kid and be like, do an autism forum real quick. Or
Right.
just like, oh, would you like to take them for a week? And I can assure you, by the end of that week, you're bringing this kid back with a full diagnosis.
Right.
Full diagnosis.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
like, maybe right now they're content. Give them a minute.
right. Exactly. I'm like, you give Indy a few minutes and you'll see it. Don't worry. Um, but yeah, that was, and I love kind of like the progression, of our relationship. And then, we were just talking on the phone because we ended up having to move to California because of my husband and Uncle freaking Sam.
Mhm.
Um, which I'm hoping this can wrap up soon and we could leave California soon and be back around each other. Um, which, really makes doing a podcast kind of interesting to set up because of the time difference. Um, but we were just kind of talking um, a couple weeks ago, I guess, and you were like, "We should just do a podcast." Because we were having like these random crazy like conversations, and most of it was probably me going, "Shut the fuck up." Really?
Mhm.
And it was like and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like it was almost like a funny, haha, we should do a podcast. And then it was like, but you know what? Maybe we really should. Like,
Yeah.
we should do this.
Yeah, I don't know why not. If you can have the experiences that we have,
Yeah.
the worlds that we live in, we're not alone. There are so many people out there like us
Yeah.
that want to be able to hear and see their situations, that want relatable content, that could, even if it's just one person, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Even if
Right.
it's one person, um, that can relate to us, or can feel some form of comfort, can laugh, can, whatever,
Right.
then we should do it. And we're so funny together.
Oh,
We
we're
are
hysterical.
so interesting together.
Yeah.
Always have something to say. And we talk on the phone for like 7 hours at a time anyway. So why not?
Right.
Why not make
We
it a
may
pact?
as well make it productive and see if we can help somebody along the way because, like, we have each other, but we also both know what the struggle was like when we didn't have somebody um, that could relate or has been through the same things. Um, and, we'll get into some of this in later episodes, but like our disabilities and like some of the health problems that we've been going through, um, you know, it can be so hard to navigate that, especially when you don't have a good support system. Um, so I was especially happy on my side because, you know, like you said, if somebody can hear something in an episode that we're talking about, because we're going to jump all over between funny, weird facts, or, and then we're going to also do like disabilities and, having kids on the spectrum, or we're going to cover like this whole wide range of things. So if one person hears an episode and it's like, oh my God, that's me to a T. Or when we talk about like the medical stuff,
Yes.
you know, if we can help somebody, because how often do we get pushed aside as women or uterus holders by doctors and gaslit?
Mhm.
Um, and I'm sure even for everybody, getting gaslit by doctors and not being taken seriously, maybe we can help equip you with ways that have helped us to actually get a diagnosis that we needed. Um,
Blackmail.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Or, you could like screw the doctor's spouse and,
Yeah.
totally. totally different ways to do this. So I'm excited to get into those episodes. But
Well,
this was, our About Me session. So you could kind of get to know a little bit about us and maybe get an idea of how we bounce off each other a little bit.
so if you relate to us and you like to learn and laugh, then like, subscribe, or tune in to our podcast. It is cheaper than therapy.
It is. All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.